We're going to go ahead and get started tonight. And I'd like to welcome all of you for coming out. Forgive me for my voice, I'm trying to get over this cold. But this is our second event where we have asked the citizens of the community to come out and the police department make a report to you as to what we're doing, how we're fighting crime in the community, and how we're working to keep you safe. So tonight is the second one. We planning on having another one closer to the Thanksgiving holiday seasons, so we can give you some more pointers on how to be safe during that time of the year. But to get started, I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to introduce the chief of police. I've been policing here. First, my name is Gary Sparks. I've been policing here in the city of Douglasville for 22 years, and I've worked in all divisions within the police department: patrol, detectives, SWAT, drugs, gangs, and I'm from Douglas County area, born and bred. So I guess when I die, I'll be Douglasville dead, so I'm gonna be here. And I love this community, and I raised 2 kids up in this community. All my family is from the Winston, Georgia area. So I've been planning here for a long time. So, and it's my goal and my work efforts to make sure that the citizens of Douglasville and Douglas County are protected and safe. And each one of us, every man and woman up here on the panel here, you're looking at over 100 and probably 130 to 150 years of experience in law enforcement easily. And, I know we all look young, but yeah, and we still looking good. And that's and that'll lead me right on into introducing your chief of police, Chris Womack. As you can see, it's a new day here at the City of Douglasville Police Department. Not only with the changing of the color of the cars, but the morale, the esprit de corps that our officers are showing, the way the officers are getting out here serving and protecting and treating the community is all attributed to Chief Womack's leadership. And he's only been in this position for, Chief, about 8 months, 9 months. And we're going to take it to a new height. And we just appreciate his leadership and what he's doing for the police department. And without further ado, we're going to have Chief Womack to come up and say some words.
Thank y'all very much. Thank you for coming out tonight. I know it may say 52 degrees on the mercury, but it feels about like 32 out there with that wind blowing. So I appreciate y'all coming out. And all I can say is this is a team effort at the Douglasville Police Department. It is no one person any greater than anybody else on the team. We all got different roles we have to fill, and but it takes all of us working together as a team, rowing that boat to get us over to the other side. And Gary Sparks, he's been my mentor for years at the police department, and he's my right-hand man. I trust him with absolutely anything and everything I've got, my family, my money, whatever. He takes care of me. And, the good thing about Gary, we make a good mix because our police backgrounds are a little different. Most of y'all remember me coming up, doing a lot of PR stuff, a lot through the school system. They threw me back in patrol for a while when I got promoted there a little bit. But, and Gary's got all that experience with the DEA and working dope and all that I've never been exposed to anything in detective. So that makes a good balance. And he's real quick. I know y'all probably find this hard to believe, but sometimes I get a little over anxious and a little overzealous. And Gary said, "Hold on now, Chief. We got to slow this down just a little bit. Let's talk about this a little bit." So it's a good balance, and it keeps everything in check. And I tell you what, I am a blessed man to be serving in this capacity. Some of y'all that might remember me as a high school kid growing up right here, going down here to Douglas County, might be saying, "Good grief, how did Chris Womack get to be our police chief?" I remember when I went home and told my mom and dad, I went to Marine Corps right after I left high school and came back, and I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to go to work for a police department." My dad said, "Won't that be a switch?" But I've had a great run here at the police department, going on about 21 years now, and City of Douglasville has been good to me, and I really appreciate it. And I try to give back. Not just here at the police department, but anything I can in the community. I love being involved in the Boys and Girls Club. Is something that's very near and dear to my heart. We're working on getting a teen center right now, getting that up and going. And like my partner said, I just love Douglasville. This is where my heart is, and this is where I want to raise my kids. Is right here. I got no intentions of going anywhere else. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to go down the line, and I'm going to do a little brief introduction of your command staff and that you've got up here tonight. One of the changes we made, we get a lot of, we'll talk a little bit about the black and white cars. That's something that we went to when Gary and I took over our new positions. And I tell you what, we get so many calls every week saying, wow, do y'all got more people on patrol? It's because people notice that black and white look, the thing screaming police. There's not a doubt in your mind when you see that car, you're looking at a police car. We don't have any more folks on patrol, but it gives the illusion because everybody's noticing the cars more than they used to. They're not as vanilla as they once were. We're just blending in with everything else. And that's a positive thing. I want the bad guys to think we got police crawling all over the place out here. So that's a good illusion that we've created with that black and white look. You'll notice we switched over to the white shirts. The reason for that, anytime you see somebody in white shirts, that's your command staff at the police department. That lets you know if we go out to a crime scene, the folks that we're going out to that crime scene, they may not know who we are personally, but they know there's a ranking official that they can identify us because of our different dress. So that's the purpose behind that, just so that they know they do have a ranking official if they've got other questions or somebody that they want to talk to, maybe above that initial patrolman that's out there or a sergeant that's working that scene. So that's the reason for that. Sitting just to the right of Gary is Sue Ann Shaw. And like they always say, behind every good man, there's a good woman. She cracks a whip on our back daily. She runs the administration building, keeps everything, makes sure all the bills get paid, is really involved in the budget. Anything administratively that's going on in admin, Lieutenant Shaw is right there waist deep in it. Next to her is my old running mate that y'all remember back from patrol, Greg Graff. He is your District 1 commander. He has everything right now north of I-20. That would be police zones 1 and 2. So everything north of 20 in the patrol function is Greg Graff's responsibility. To his right is J.R. Davidson. That is your District 2 commander. He has everything south of I-20 to include the Thornton Road corridor, tributary area. All patrol functions south of the interstate and Thornton Road fall under Captain Davidson's control. And down on the end, the grand old man of the command staff, Darren Shaw, he'll get up here and he'll tell some stories on me from when he used to chase me around. So when he used to have to slow me down a little bit back in my younger days and smack me around a little bit. Things used to be different. I mean, he'd jerk you out of a car in a minute and just slap the taste out of your mouth. So I tell him, you can't do that anymore. Now, Captain Shaw, you got to ease off a little bit. You can't smack us around like you used to. But Darren's over at the traffic division. And one thing that he is really specialized in beyond working serious injury accidents is all of our special functions that takes place. He's the organizer of those events. So when you're out here, whether it's the Labor Day Parade, 4th of July Parade, Captain Shaw is the mastermind. And when you're talking about pulling off an event with that size of a crowd, he does it. All the special traffic control that goes on during the holidays. I think y'all have to admit, yeah, we still got a traffic problem, but the last 2 Christmases, things have gone a lot smoother. And that's because of the hard work that Captain Shaw's put in of making sure we got people in the right place to try to keep people moving best we can with the roadways that we have. Okay, so without further ado,
how y'all doing? My name's Darren Shaw. I'm a captain with the Douglasville Police Department. My title is captain over traffic and operations. I deal mainly with traffic, but I do have other divisions that I do supervise. Tell you a little bit about myself. I started with the Douglas County Sheriff's Department in December of 1979. I worked under the direction of Earl Lee from 1979 to 1985. 1985, Chief Joe Wisnett talked me into coming to the Douglasville Police Department, best move I've ever made. And I've been here ever since 1985. It's 25 years this August. Out of those 25 years, I've worked in every division with the Douglasville Police Department, to include narcotics. but mainly focused and stayed in the traffic division. About 1993 or 4, we started the motor unit. We started out with 2 motors. This photograph was taken when we had 10. I don't know if all 10 of them are in that photo, but we had 10 at that time. And due to the economy, and we had to make some cutbacks in places, we had to reduce the motor division down to now 6. I have 6 officers working for me. Yeah, 6 officers working for me. All in the traffic division, when you're selected to be a motor unit, there's a lot of training that goes into being a motor officer, because in this division, we don't just work your regular back into a car parking lot wreck. We work all the wrecks in the city limits of Douglasville, to include serious injury and fatality accidents. The training that goes into being an accident investigator and reconstructionist is a lot. I mean, there's 5 80-hour classes that you have to take and pass to become an accident reconstructionist. Right now, we have 2 certified accident reconstructionists on the unit, and then we have a couple of other guys that have been promoted out of our traffic division to other divisions as also accident reconstructionists. But we do investigate all the serious injury and fatality accidents for the city of Douglasville. This year, we've only had 3 fatalities within the city. Last year, we had 7. Unfortunately, those individuals we're batting 1,000 as far as prosecution. The individuals that were at fault in these accidents, that were doing things like DUI or driving reckless or whatever, they're doing some serious time in jail right now because of these guys and their ability to investigate the accident. Traffic division is also, like the chief said earlier, responsible for planning all the special events for Douglasville. That includes parades, walks, runs, and don't throw nothing at me, the holiday traffic. That's not my fault. We do the best we can with what we got. The city of Douglasville has really worked hard to try to make intersection and road improvements to make your travels through Douglasville during the holidays as best as it can be. I mean, I use this term with the chief all the time. We've got 10 gallons of water running through a 5-gallon bucket. It's just too much traffic, and we're doing the best that we can with it. But it takes a lot to deal with this traffic. Each holiday season, we put together about 12 officers, 10 to 12 officers, and we put them out at specific locations during the times of usually the last 2 weeks of the holiday season when the traffic's the worst. And we have them working extra details out there from dawn to dark, 30, to get you guys around as best we can. Like I said, it's you just kind of sometimes just want to throw your hands up, because there's just not much you can do with it. The parades, something a lot of people don't know about the parades is when we plan a parade and we do the traffic for the parade, it takes the entire police department to work these parades and do the traffic for you. It takes the duty shift that's out there working and answering calls and working wrecks and doing just regular police work. Then we have to call in everybody else that's off to work these parades and a lot of these special events. It's a lot of work. And
don't plan a beach trip 4th of July.
I haven't had a 4th of July Labor Day off in 25 years, so that's just part of it. Our accident statistics, if you'll notice, back in 2007 we worked 2,675 wrecks. 2008 we worked 2,359 and 09. Thus far, we've worked, and these are fiscal years. Thus far, we've worked 2010 accidents. They're dropping. Why are they dropping? Well, we saw the accidents going up. Fatalities were getting the numbers were going up in fatalities. So what do? Traffic enforcement. That's all we can do to try to slow people down, make them act right. Unfortunately, me, you, everybody in this room has sped. We've rolled through a stop sign. We've ran through a red light, trying to catch that yellow light. It all happens, and because of it, we have accidents. People out here have accidents. So we started with the motor unit, started picking up working traffic a lot heavier on the interstate intersections, the main thoroughfares in Douglasville. As you can see, by us picking it up, we noticed it in 07, we started picking it up in 08, and thus far in 09, our ticket counts, by the end of July, that ticket count is probably going to pass the 2008 ticket count. But because of that, our accidents have been dropping, which was our goal. Like I said, our fatalities have went from, I can't tell you 3 years ago, but I can tell you last year was 7, this year has been 3. That's a big decrease. That's what we're looking for.
He's talking from July 1 of last year. That's all the year that we're talking about.
I have a question at this point. That
Yes, ma'am.
sounds really good there. Now, do you think that there might be an increase due to all these people talking on cell phones?
Well,
and
yes,
something
ma'am.
that's really scary is these old people out there like me talking on cell phones.
Maybe some of these young people as well.
It's
Well,
not.
not that I talk on the cell phone, but I mean the older people.
It's not. There's no age limit. I mean, everyone from teens to 110. If they've got a cell phone and it rings, in most cases when they're driving down the road, they're going to be talking. I talk on my cell phone. I catch myself trying to dial a number sometimes driving down the road, and I know better. And I look up, I'm weaving it. Everybody does. We shouldn't. And they're making laws now to. Not about cell phone usage. There's a law in the House now about texting. I don't know if it got passed yet or not. But that's where we, and texting usually addresses the youth. That's where most of them are having their accidents, is due to texting. We had a accident, unfortunate fatality accident a few months ago or a few weeks ago. And there was a question whether or not the driver of that vehicle was texting. She wasn't, and that's a good thing. The accident still happened, but she was not texting. But it is, to answer your question, yes, ma'am. It's a bad thing.
But do you see an increase in some accidents due to that?
No. I know, now within the city, no ma'am. But I know statewide and probably nationwide, yes ma'am. We haven't had a serious injury, accident, and or fatality that involves someone talking on the phone or texting on the phone since I've been in this traffic. Now, if they were talking on the phone and the accident occurred, could it be a contributing factor to the accident? Yes ma'am. But most of our serious injury and or fatalities involve other things like drinking, drug use, or just bad driving all around, reckless driving, that sort of thing.
What effect has the economy had on this? Fewer people driving, they don't have a job to go to, they aren't able to afford the gas. Has that had any effect on anything?
Not that I say. No, ma'am.
Out on Highway 5 in Campbell.
There's a lot of folks out there. I can't say that.
I'm beginning to think nobody's working. They're just out here driving around. Cruising.
Driving around.
They're looking for a job.
Hope they find one quick.
Anything else on the stats or statistics? Anybody got any questions? All right, the next thing I wanted to, this is some of the stuff that we drive up on. This gentleman here was y'all may remember, it's still there, the Texaco on 92. He was backing out of a parking space, thought he had, and this guy, he's an experienced driver. thought he had his foot on the brake, and he didn't. He had it on the gas while he was backing out of the parking space. This guy parks his car over there and had just shined it out. It's a car wash behind it. He'd come out of the car wash and wiped it down, had the wheels all nice and shiny. And he was standing back admiring his car, and he hears this car coming. And he just backs up, hits his car, flips it up on his side, and that car winds up on top of it. Now, you would think that that car that's up on its side is tore all up. But I bet there wasn't $1,000 worth of damage to that car. Which today's times, $1,000 worth of damage is like a little bump at the side of the car. I mean, it wasn't hurt hardly at all.
Is that the guy that was driving?
No, that's one of the local record driver. That's Ryan Penn.
That was some magic watching him do that, though. I mean, it was impressive.
When he
Getting it off there.
He brought that car up, he backed the wrecker up under it, and then he tilted the front of the car up. Then they rolled the wrecker up under the car at the height of the car up on the side, and then just basically drove it on top of the wrecker while it was tilted up. And then at the same time, while he was pulling away, it just let that other car down real slow. I mean,
y'all can imagine we had a crowd out there by this time because we knew we were going to get some stuff getting more up.
It looks like it was staged.
When I pulled up to it, I was like, okay, where's the camera? This is fun.
I'd say 3 games.
How about the guy that's against the law? Did he ever go back and get his car cleaned again?
He was a little upset. I didn't talk too much. The next thing I wanted to touch on is for you folks that have up and coming teen drivers and maybe some grandkids coming up that are going to be driving is Joshua's Law. Anybody that has a 15-year-old kid that wants to be driving by the age 16, he has to take Joshua's Law. It's offered through the Department of Driver Services, DDS, and you can get a computer course. I don't know the cost. There is a small cost to it, $25 or $30 that you have to pay. And it's a 30-hour course that your child has to take. Along with that 30-hour course, once he takes that course and passes it, he has to, you, the parent, has to log in 40 hours of driving time with it. That's a lot of hours, but you got a year to do it. 6 of those hours need to be done at night. Now, a lot of times, one of the things that we run into when parents are teaching kids how to drive is you know, it's raining outside, it's Sunday, and y'all got to run to the store and get a gallon of milk. And Junior runs up and says, Mom, let me drive. Dad, let me drive. You're crazy. It's raining. No, you need to let him drive in the rain. You don't want him to drive in pretty weather all the time and then get his driver's license and experience driving in the rain for the first time by himself and get in the car with him. You want to let them drive in the rain and any other inclement weather that you feel comfortable with. You can also go through a driving school which does all this for you. You don't have to do it. I actually taught driving. I'm a driving instructor through the state of Georgia myself in Chiefs Park. And we taught kids how to drive down here at this 901 driving school when it was open. It closed recently. But for 2 years, when I started driving there, I had a full head of hair. It was all one color, brown. Now it's not. But we used to teach those kids how to drive. And one of the questions parents often, you know, my kid has trouble maintaining a car and, you know, wants to drive down the road like this. I don't know how many of you got kids, but if you're going to start teaching them how to drive, believe it or not, and don't think I'm crazy for saying it, but the first place they need to go is to the interstate. Everybody's going the same direction in the interstate. If you drive them on a 2-lane road or back country road even, there's traffic coming to you. If they're weaving all over the road, you're going to have a head-on accident. To learn lane control when you're teaching kids how to drive is the interstate is the best place. I mean, you can get out there and go towards Alabama. You can drive forever. There's not much traffic on a Sunday. And trust me, by the time they get to the Alabama line and turn around and come back, they're going to have lane control figured out and speed control. Some of the problems we have with teen drivers as well as adults is understanding speed, and speed kills. With adults and mostly teen drivers, our accidents that we work, a lot of them do with speed, especially with the teens. Speed is a big cause for accidents. For teens, following too closely is another big problem with teens and adults. And the third thing is overcorrecting. You're driving down the road, you're speeding, number one. You're not paying attention to what you're doing. You're texting on the phone, or you're talking on your cell phone, and then you decide you want to change the radio. And for whatever reason, at 50 miles an hour, you drift and drop your right two tires off on the side of the road. Well, first reaction for a lot of adults and a bunch of teens is to snatch that wheel back. But when you snatch that wheel back, this is what happens. When you overcorrect, you're going to lose control of the car. If you snatch that wheel, the car's going to spin, and it's either going to go into the oncoming lane of traffic, or it's going to leave the roadway, flip once or twice, and look like that. We don't want that, especially in a vehicle like that. So when you're teaching your kids how to drive, these are some points that you need to go over with them. I highly recommend that you put them in a driving school, because, like I said, coming from a third party where, I know when my dad was teaching me how to drive, he yelled at me, I'm going too fast, I'm going too slow, I'm doing it. He made me a nervous wreck. Having a third party, somebody that's not going to yell at you, it's a great idea if you can afford that. Those schools are very expensive, but they are well worth it.
Do they still have the simulated driving vehicle in the sheriff's department?
Yes, ma'am.
They do.
Yes, they do.
They still have their care program going.
They have a care program. They have the skid car.
Yeah, it's getting car. Oh God.
Well, and it's a good thing because it teaches kids how to counter steer and what it feels like to hydroplane. It's good for not just it's good for any driver to go through that. That's it for me. And does anybody have any questions about anything? All right. Well, thank you very much.